Okay, so today we're going to talk about something I call the Rubik's Cube concept that I use with all my rotational athletes. If you remember the toy, the Rubik's Cube from the 80s, it is 3 counter-rotating layers. In our body, we have 3 counter-rotating layers as well. We have from our hips to the floor, hips to your shoulders, shoulders to the top of your head. Now, each of these layers has to work independently. We need to be able to rotate our hips under our shoulders over our hips, our shoulders under our head, and our head over our shoulders. If we can't distinguish these 3 pieces, we end up getting some of the faults that we hear about where you're not using your hips enough, or you're not getting enough shoulder turn, or you're pulling your head off of the ball. First, we need to determine, is this a mobility issue? Do you have enough rotation in your hips? Do you have enough rotation in your trunk? And lastly, do you have enough rotation in your cervical spine? Once we know it's not a mobility issue, now it's a matter of the motor control and being able to control each of these segments. Sometimes we need to create motion in one while we're controlling motion in the other. Last but not least, we want to see how you can carry this over into your skill, whether it's your swing or your shot. We can use something like the K-vest to look at not just can you separate, but can you sequence properly? Meaning, do you lead with your hips and then come through with your trunk and then finally with your hands? We can also look at how do you create range and how much range do you create, and is it enough range to produce force over? And when you produce that force, how much speed are you actually producing in rotation? By using this system of starting with mobility, then layering on top of it motor control, and then finally adding power and skill, we can increase your rotational force tremendously.